Okay, so Walls, patriot. You can be a patriot and a far left guy at the same time. All right? So personal attacks on Walls are useless. And the people that do them are dumb. We're not going to do that here. So Walls served his country, National Guard. Okay? Then he was a teacher. He's a football coach, family man. No personal attacks. You don't need it. The way he's governed is he's a far left loon. That's who he is. Now, loon is, that's not a personal attack. That's a description of your political posture. Okay? All right, so I lost some respect for Walls, though, last night in Philadelphia. Go.
Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, J.D. studied at Yale, had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up.
All right, the get off the couch thing was defamation. And I've lost a lot of respect for Governor Walls. I didn't disrespect or respect him because I don't know him, but a demented social media person made up a story about Senator Vance that involved the couch. I'm not going to tell you the story because it's obscene. And put it out. And many progressives ran with the story, including Governor Walls. Cheap, tawdry. I lost a lot of respect for him. Because he knows the story was debunked. It was debunked right away. And he did it anyway. There you go. All right, now the polls are tied. Real Clear Average got Harris at 47.4, Trump at 46.9. Every poll comes in, it's this, it's that. Let's just say it's tied. Joining us now from Alexandria, Virginia, is Dustin Olson. He's a pollster for American Pulse Research and Polling. They work for both Republicans and Democrats. And he hosts a podcast, Political Trade Secrets. Oh, we love that. We love trade secrets on this program. Okay, so you just did a poll, American Pulse, right? 1,035 likely voters. And likely voters is the category you should be in. Republican 40, Democrat 37, Independent 20, fair sampling. And the first question was this. Would you say the country is generally headed in the right or wrong direction? Right direction 27, wrong 58. So if that's the case, Dustin, it's 58 to 27. How can Harris be tied with Trump?
It's really quite amazing, actually, as I've been going through the summer and as a pollster and you're tracking things, starting actually with the Manhattan conviction and then ending up with the debate and then with the assassination attempt and with RNC and then Biden dropping out. There's been so many historic things. It's really been very difficult to actually poll and not have your poll completely thrown out. So after about a week of Kamala Harris being in the race, we thought we'd go into the field and see just kind of where the American people has ended up. And one thing that's clear to me that has had an impact is her favorability. Actually, about a month ago, she was less popular than both Biden and Trump, and she's now more popular than both of them. Biden hasn't changed much. Trump has actually increased his favorability ever since the assassination attempt, but she's had a really big bump. And I do think it's largely based off of the fawning media coverage. In our survey, we track where people get their news. And if you look at kind of the legacy media, it makes up about 50% of the electorate gets their information from there. And I think that's largely what it was. Also, to contrast, you look at Joe Biden, where he was a month ago, we were starting to see the bottom fall out, and you had states like New Hampshire, New Mexico, Minnesota, Virginia that were starting to come into play. And if that happened, it would have been a whack-a-mole scenario for the Democrats where they just couldn't have kept up with all these competitive states. And ultimately, having somebody who wasn't Biden was a big contrast for Democrats. And I do see some intensity and energy back with Democrats, as well as the improved favorability, which is as a pollster, think that's fairly predictive as to where things are going.
Okay.
I would expect her to have a little
I
bit of
think that's logical, but I think you're leaving out the skin color vote. The skin color
potentially,
vote.
though, in our survey, 22.3% of African Americans are supporting Donald Trump, which I was quite shocked at, actually, post Kamala Harris joining the race.
So Harris coming up in the favorability zone, who has shifted into her liking her more than they did? It's not people of color?
Yeah. So there's going to be some of that, though we also had Hispanics where Trump's winning by 5%. And we really worked hard to have a representative sample of minorities. I think it's largely people that weren't really participating that are now more energized. Also, you have postgraduates who were pretty, postgraduates, anybody who has anything above a college degree. That's where a lot of the intensity is for her, and they seem to be jazzed up about it.
I don't want to get too technical about it, but the surge, I think, has 2 or 3 points of skin color voting in it. Yeah. Now, I'd love to see a survey on whether Americans understand what Kamala Harris is promoting. See, my theory is they don't understand what this Harris-Walz ticket is. They couldn't understand it if, as I spelled out in my talking points memo, it's so bad for the working class family and for individual freedom. I mean, it's off the chart bad. When you're the governor of Minnesota and most of your constituency are working class farming people, and you're the 5th highest tax state in the union, it's just inconceivable. And I don't think most people understand that. I don't want to be arrogant about it, but the dumb vote, I think, is more substantial than it's ever been in modern history.
Potentially, when it comes to policy, and I think I've seen you talk about this quite a bit. Really, Republicans should be focused on policy. We tracked, inflation, the economy, immigration, and the border, also abortion, and really on those first 2 issues, inflation and immigration. Donald Trump has a majority of Americans trusting him better to handle that over Kamala Harris. Let me
just give you the
abortion for her.
Yeah, let me give you the data to the folks that you assembled. So, who do you trust better to handle the economy and inflation? Trump 51, Harris 45. That's a pretty high number for Harris, though. Yeah. I mean, people are paying 20, 25% more now than they did when Trump was in office for essentials. Then you have securing the border. Trump 54, Harris 42. Now, this is the number that comes into play in the dumb vote. Kamala Harris is not going to secure the border, ever. She's going to let all these foreign nationals in, and the American taxpayer is going to pick up their education, health, and welfare costs. And 42% of Americans don't know that?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting on the immigration issue. We also asked a question about people's approval of the Biden-Harris administration on the border. And the disapproval is higher than the support for Trump handling that, which tells me that there is a difference between that they've been able to give themselves enough daylight between the Biden-Harris administration and the Harris candidacy. And I do think there's going to be a closing of that difference. But right now they've given themselves enough daylight that she can kind of start fresh.
The media is giving it to them. They haven't given themselves. The media is peddling these lies that, Harris did X, Y, and Z. Final thing you have is foreign policy. Trump 49, Harris 47. So we had no wars of any, consequence under Trump for 4 years. Now we got Ukraine, Middle East blowing up, Afghanistan embarrassment, all under Trump Harris. And 47% of half the people think that the Democrats do a better job in foreign policy. Again, this is the only explanation is the dumb vote. I don't think there's any other explanation on earth, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I think it's largely based on the media. Your media gives you your reality for the most part. And if half of America is getting their media from sources that are telling them, that she's great, she'll be great on foreign policy, she'll be great on the economy, et cetera, they're going to start moving in that direction. Now, one thing that I found extremely fascinating from our poll, we decided to ask people about the cognitive cover-up, the idea that the Biden-Harris White House and their allies in the media have been covering up the cognitive decline of the president for the last few years. And 61% of people said that they agreed with that idea, and even 47% strongly agreed with it, which my hope is that gives some sense that maybe people are seeing behind the curtain and just how a lot of this impacts public opinion and how the country is being run, and that ultimately this could actually be a pretty big factor in the election.
All right. When is your next survey?
We'll do another one in August, late August, to see how things go after the DNC. And I think that's going to be the next big move in the campaign.
Well, we'll definitely. I'm going to be off the last week in August, but as soon as I get back after Labor Day, we get you on, and we really appreciate it, Dustin. Thanks very much for taking the time today. Right.
Thank you.
Everything is expensive these days. You know that. The government is printing trillions of dollars and consumer prices higher than ever. If the government continues its printing and spending, the dollar could continue its free fall and lose its coveted role as the world reserve currency. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But there are a few things you can do right now. American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your money, your retirement, your hard-earned savings against inflation by helping you diversify a portion of your portfolio into physical gold and silver. Start with a short phone call, and they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your 401k or IRA. So please call or text them right now. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you. Call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Media madness. This is a really interesting story. Remember this woman, Cassidy Hutchinson? She had a book, all right? And it sold a lot of copies. I know that because Killing the Witches was up against her. Now, Witches ultimately sold a lot more copies than she did. But out of the gate, she did very well because she accused Donald Trump of grabbing the wheel of the presidential limousine and fighting a Secret Service agent because Trump wanted to go to the Capitol. And according to Hutchinson, he wanted to encourage this crazy thing that happened on January 6th. Hutchinson was a low-level staffer in the Trump administration. She writes all this garbage. I knew it was garbage from the jump, okay? Here's what I said. Go. The most important accusation was from this Cassidy Hutchinson. Now, we've done some investigating. It would be physically impossible for a president or any human being, sitting in the back seat of a limousine to reach across and grab the steering wheel. It's impossible. Physically impossible. You can't do it. Okay. And that was true. But that's not what the hate Trump media told you. Roll the tape.
President Trump ordering them to take him to Capitol Hill, and when they would not do so because they did not believe it was secure, among other reasons, President Trump, according to these Secret Service agents who relayed this to Cassidy Hutchinson, lunged at the wheel and then lunged at the throat and clavicle of his Secret Service agent, Robert Engel. It was devastating testimony, a portrait of a president who was completely and utterly out of control.
And it was a lie. And Tapper's the worst. I just thought I'd rub that in. You know that, I'm sure. So now the Inspector General of the Secret Service, Joseph Kufari, based on more than 100 interviews of every Secret Service agent around at that time, okay, has said the whole thing is bogus. It never happened. This is the Secret Service. This is the Inspector General. Okay, he was in charge of investigating this stuff. All right, so how many lies is a corporate media going to be able to get away with? Because nobody's going to report this Inspector General thing. You know, it sickens me that a woman can make a lot of money peddling a falsehood, that B, CNN and Tapper can pick it up and spit it out, and they weren't the only ones. Almost every corporate media TV operation did, okay? And C, that it takes this long for the Inspector General, who could have done this in a month, you might say, no. It's awful. Our system is so corrupt. I'm not cynical. I'm fact-based. It is corrupt. The media is corrupt, and the federal government is corrupt. Okay, smart life. So how did we get here? How did we get here in 2024 to such a corrupt place? Well, on the political side, it was an evolution throughout the presidents, different presidents. And I've written a book, as you know, called Confronting the Presidents, all right? No spin assessments from Washington to Biden. It's out in about a month, September 10th. But the audio is already not available, but it's been made. And I want to run a minute of the audio for Confronting the Presidents in the Smart Life. And I'll tell you why it's in the Smart Life, okay? Go.
George Washington gets right to work. His first task is defining what it means to be president. Problems quickly mount. America has a massive national debt from the Revolutionary War, no standing army, and a navy that has no ships. Yet the greatest headache George Washington endures is the hand-picked group of men he has chosen to advise him. This bickering cabinet of 4 politicians includes Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, Secretary of War Henry Knox, and Attorney General Edmund Randolph. Jefferson and Hamilton in particular loathe each other. At issue is whether the federal government should be a strong central power, as Hamilton believes, or if the states should wield the most strength, as in Jefferson's point of view. This debate will continue for generations to come. For now, Alexander Hamilton will win this argument, and it is George Washington who casts the deciding vote.
And so we take each president, well, 45 men, and we tell you who was corrupt, who wasn't, and how the corruption evolved. And right now, I'll submit to you, we're not at the top level of corruption in Washington. We're not there, because there were worse presidents and unbelievable corruption in some of the administration. We are in the media. Media's never been more corrupt. So you are going to get so much out of Confronting the Presidents. And it all pertains to today. All of it. You will learn something on every page, and it's entertaining. It's fun to read. You take it to the beach. Okay? So pre-order on BillO'Reilly.com, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you get your books. Also on BillO'Reilly.com is a good poll question. We would like you to, and you don't have to be a premium member to do this. You don't have to do that. Okay? And it's very simple. Can Kamala Harris win the election? Yes or no? Big, big entry into that poll. We have polls every week. Okay? So we'd like you to vote in that one. Smart Life. You work hard to support yourself and your family, but it may seem like you never take that next financial step forward. If the bills are higher than what you bring in, a credit card might be what's making up the difference for you. The problem is the debt keeps on growing. Well, if you own a home, my friends at American Financing can help you break that cycle. American Financing saves people like you an average of $854 a month. Even better, it costs nothing to find out how much you can save. And if you call American Financing today, you might be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. So start your journey towards being credit card debt-free. Please call 888-462-9557, 888-462-9557, or visit AmericanFinancing.com. BillOReilly.net. By now, you have heard me talk about Delta Rescue. They are a fantastic organization that helps rescue animals from the wilderness. You know, I'm a dog lover, so is Leo Grillo, the founder of Delta Rescue. It is his life's mission to provide everlasting care for these once abandoned animals. I myself have donated to Delta Rescue. Do you believe it is part of man's duty to care for dogs and horses, the animals that so much of our history is tied to? If so, please consider making a donation or consult your advisor about leaving a gift in your will or trust. There can be some tax advantages, and it's a great way to help Delta Rescue accomplish their mission. So please visit deltarescue.org to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Okay, the squad's falling apart. These are the radical left House of Representative members. So Cori Bush got whacked in the primary. Her district is in eastern Missouri, our first congressional district. All right, there it is, St. Louis County. She got blasted by the county prosecutor, Wesley Bell. So she's gone. Cori Bush. Cori Booker's still around the Senate. Cori Bush is gone. And in case you don't know who she is, roll the tape.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's not surprising because this place is where 1,700 members of Congress, this elected body, enslaved black people. It's not surprising because they thought it was right. It's not surprising because this is a place where members continue to claim that the insurrection on the Capitol just appeared to look like a normal tourist visit.
I'm sorry to laugh, but she's out. So she joins Jamal Bowman, New York. He got booted. He's another squad member. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, Alexandria, is safe because she's in a district in the Bronx where I'm not going to look down on the district, but let's just say I'm adding the bottom. She's safe. Okay, California, which is Kamala Harris, wants to make America California. That's what she wants. So they passed a minimum wage law, $20 an hour. Well, your fast food, your anything, deli, car wash, $20 an hour, okay? Plus tips, plus whatever. So what has happened? What are the unintended consequences? 98% of California fast food restaurants hiked prices, 98%, according to the Employment Policies Institute. So their prices, and they hiked them bigger than the minimum wage hike. So who does that hurt? The poor, all right, who go to, and I'm generalizing now, but they buy from the lower priced establishments. What it hurts. Not only that, 73% of fast food locations had reduced employee hours. So yeah, you're getting your $20, but instead of working 35 hours a week, you're working 25. Okay? And 70% have outright cut people. Bye, we can't afford you. This is what socialism brings. An imposed wage brings poverty. Just go to Havana. You got to go to Montreal, get on a plane, and fly down there. Take a look. I did. Smart life. So I am overwhelmed with mail from all over the world. And I like that. That's a good thing. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. I throw some of the mail away because you don't have a name and a town on it, which you have to be considered. It's hard enough for me to read the mail, and I got people helping me to do it. All right, now, there's a theme emerging in the mail to BillO'Reilly.com, and it's anxiety. There are a lot of people who are afraid. So I got a concierge mail the other day from a 75-year-old woman who has some assets, but she's afraid that the government is going to take them away from her. So she's asking me if she should take her money out of the bank. And I said, no, that's crazy. Got to be in an FDIC insured bank, okay? But no, don't do that, because the wealth tax is going to be very hard to get passed. Harris will try if she wins, but I think the Supreme Court will blunt, which is why Harris and Walz want to pack the court. That's why they want to. It's much easier to impose socialism. But anyway, the elderly woman, I hope that I calmed her down. So I am seeing a rise in anxiety over this election. That is why the concierge membership to BillO'Reilly.com is becoming a must for a lot of people. If you have a personal circumstance that you are worried about, you tell me what it is, and I will advise you. I can't give you financial advice or medical advice. I'm not an accountant, and I'm not a doctor. I'll tell you what I would do. All right? So, smart life. We're giving you this opportunity. It costs a little bit of money, but you make it back if you give anybody a present, because you get huge discounts on all of our stuff. I have tried to make this a fail-safe, all right, where you don't lose any money, but you gain a year's worth of premium or concierge membership. Smart life. Growing number of adults say they don't want kids, all right? This comes from Pew Research. Under 50 Americans, under 50 years old, 57%, they don't want them. That's a lot. They don't want them. All right? They think they're going to be a hindrance to their economic welfare. They'd rather concentrate on other things. That's a personal decision. Should be no derision in the decision. You don't want kids? That's good, because you don't want to have a child who you're not going to care for. It's the most important thing on earth. If you have them, you got to give them everything. Okay. But that's the trend. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.